Hello everyone, welcome to Mysql Academy. So in this video of Flutter series, we'll be developing the login page of our Flutter application. And to create the login page, we have to follow several functions, several steps, such as at first we have to create the API for our login screen. Then we have to create or we have to design the login screen. We have to create the form fields where we'll be uh, sending the data to the database, and we will check whether the data which we have sent are correct or not. If the username and the password is correct, then we will store the details of the user in the shared preferences. So we have to work with shared preferences as well. So let's get started. I will at first go to blog of Mysql Academy, where all the information regarding this screen has been stored. Then I will go to the article, how to develop the login screen of the Flutter app. And here, the first thing which we have to do is to make the API using PHP. So now, the next thing which I will do is to log into my web hosting panel. And then I will go to the account where I have uploaded the script. In this case, I have uploaded the script in the account called aboutassam.in. And then I will go to the file manager and I will have to locate the folder where the details of this Flutter script has been stored. I can see the folder called public_HTML here. Let me double click on it. And inside this folder, I have created several folders and I have to choose the folder where we have uploaded the Flutter application codes. And now I will go to API. Inside the API, I have to create a new file for login, which I will be named as login.php. Once I created this file, the next thing that we have to do is to copy the API which I have already made, and then I will paste it here. So at first I have included the course file, then I've included the database file, and we have defined the header as application/JSON. We have initialized an empty response of the array. Next, we have implemented the try and catch method of PHP. Now, I have told my PHP code that if the data which we'll be getting in this API, if the data has been sent through the method called post, in that case, we will execute the next action. Or if the data has not been sent through the method called post, then we won't be doing anything. In that case, we will throw an exception called invalid request method. So here I have created a variable called user_email, and we will get the variable value through post method. Same, we have also created user password, and we will get the user password through the variable called through the post method. Now we will tell that if the username and the password are empty, then we will throw an exception that all fields are mandatory, which means that we need the username and the password. We need both the values. If any of the values are missing, then we will throw the exception. Next, here is the SQL code where we will tell that select stars. We will select all the values from the table called users, where username will be user email. And okay, so here we have done one mistake. We have just checked the user email, but unfortunately, we have not checked the password. So I will have to go to phpMyAdmin. And I will save this file. And let me again go to the database.php file. From this file, I will be requiring the username, and I will also need the password. So now I will open my database and I will check the users table. In the users table, I can see the field called user underscore name, email, and user underscore password. So I will have to check the password as well, else our code or our method won't be correct. I will update the updated value of this update code of this API in the blog. You don't have to worry. I will go to API folder and then double click on login.php. Here I will say that if select star from users where user email equals to user email and user password equals to user password. And here instead of writing user password, I will write user underscore password underscore hashed, which means that we will have to create another variable here, and I will name the variable as user password hashed, and I will encrypt the password sent by the server or by the post method with MD5 encryption. Now, I will have to create one more line of code here, and which will be user underscore password underscore hashed, and it will be $user underscore password underscore hashed. Now, if both the fields are correct, which means that if I get the data from the API in this way, if I get the data as pawan@webotf.com and password exactly in the same way, then we will execute it. Okay, so I have done one separate method. Okay, so this method is also good as well, since I have written the code a few weeks ago, so I just forgot the approach which I have used. At first, I have checked the user email, and then I have checked the user password here. So, user underscore password. So, I have checked the user password, which is not been encrypted. So, in this case, I will have to paste the encrypted value of this password. And then I will click on Save File. My API has now been completed. And if I go to the blog again, now we have to do 4 different things. At first, we have to create a screen called login screen. And then we have to design the form fields with which will be sending the data and verifying whether the username and the password is correct or not. Then we will implement the login functionality. We will create a function for login. And once we receive the data from our API, if the login has been correct or if the login has not been correct, in that case, we will store the data. If the login has been correct, then we will be storing the data in our Flutter application itself. Like in case of PHP programming, we store the data in call session. And in case of Flutter, we will be storing that data instead of session, we will be storing it in shared preferences. So if I go to Google and check what is shared preferences, I'll be able to see a package. So we can use shared preferences to store the data. Now we will go to our application, and here we will create a new file called login. And then let me go to our blog, and I will create a screen called login screen. Then I will have to import all the necessary plugins. And instead of this placeholder, I will be designing the UI of the app. So let us copy the scaffold and I will paste it here. As we are using the scaffold, so we will also have to import material.dart. And if I just run this application, I will also go to main.dart, and here instead of register screen, I will be redirecting the user to login screen so that I can check the login screen. Here I can see a blank screen called login. Now inside the container, I will be designing the fields or the form fields. I've already written the code for form fields, which I'll be copying here. And inside the body, I'll be pasting all the fields. Here I can see email and the password. Now we have to create the login functionality. To create the login functionality, I will copy this function and I will paste it here. Now, as we are using the API, so we will have to import the Dart convert package. Now we will have to create the controllers. Here we have still not created the controllers, so we have to create the controllers, text editing controllers, and we have to link the input text field. Text editing controller, and as we have created the email controller, so we will create this email controller. In the same way, we will be creating the password controller. Now, for the time being, I will remove the remember me thing. And I will also delete it from here. Now, as we have created the text editing controller, so we have to link the values in our text input field. Controller will be email controller, and here controller will be text editing, password controller. And now here I can see one more error. The getter HTTP isn't defined for the class login screen state. Try correcting the name to the name of an existing getter or defining a getter of the field name HTTP. So let me go to that section and let me check what is the issue with this getter. So now we will go to the bottom of this screen. Now we will copy the name of this function and we will go to the bottom of the page, and here I'll be linking this function with this button. So the error which I can see here is something called undefined name HTTP. And let us go to our blog again. The fourth step that we have to do is to import all the necessary packages. So I will have to import the HTTP package now, and then I will paste the HTTP package here, and now I can see all the errors of this page have now been completed or gone. And if I just write something here and click on login, let us check what can we see here. I can see login failed, SQL state invalid parameter, number of bound variables does not match. So here we have username and here we have user password. And if I go to our, okay, so we have to remove it as well, the bind parameters. We have the user email and user password here. Let me click on login again and check the console. So it is telling me that invalid username or password. So if I use the correct username, which is pavan@something, weaverdev.com, paste. And if I write the password is 123 and click on login, let me check what can I see now. It is still telling me that invalid username or password. So what I will do, I will simply edit it, and I will edit the password as 123 and use MD5 encryption. And then I will click on login again. It is still telling me that invalid username or password, which means that the issue is with the API itself. Okay, so let us edit the code a little bit. What I will do now, I will remove the condition which I have used to check the password in the later phase of this code. And I will simply check whether I have received the data from this API, from this statement or not. So now I am checking, we are checking the users table where user email equals to user email. And if I just click on login now, I can see that I'm getting the message as login successful, which means that if we add another condition here, like user password, if we check the user password as user password hashed, then I think our problem will get sorted out. Now, let me again check the console. So now I can see the login is been successful. So once we get the data from the login, once the login is successful and we get the data, our next task would be to store the login data in our application, in our shared preferences. So I will be copying the shared preferences here from here, okay, and then I will import the package here. And once I import the package, I will also have to go to our pubspec.yml file. And here I have to import shared preferences. To import shared preferences, I will have to go to installing. And then I will copy it and paste it over here. And then I should click on pub-get. Now I will have to go to login.dart. I can see the underline, red color underline has now been done from here. And now I will again go to our blog and I will save the credentials which we have received from our login user function. So our next task would be to save the data here. So I will copy the name of this function, and if we get the response as success, then we will save the data. That's all. And our task has now been completed. We will have to redirect the user to dashboard screen once we get the response as true, or once the username or password is correct. We will redirect the user to the response screen, to the dashboard screen. So now, once we save the data, we will redirect the user to our dashboard screen, navigator.post, which we have done earlier. Context, material is road, context. Here, and we will be importing the home. Let us try. If I just click on login, it is taking me to the home, and I will also have to create the logout, which we will be creating in the next video. So in the next video, we will be creating the logout function of this app, and we will also be creating the condition to check whether the user is logged in or not. If the user is not logged in that case, we will not allow him to access the dashboard screen. We will redirect him to the login screen, and once he complete the login process, he will be able to check the login. And we will also be creating the my orders page. He will only be able to see his orders, not the orders of any other user. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe this channel for more updates.